do like that.
Is that fun?
A little ski lift?
Yeah.
It was yours?
No.
Oh, no, I've seen it. Yeah, I know what I've seen.
It's not nearly fun. This one, it kind of immediately.
Same in my house. My castle.
Hello, everybody. And I'm proud to be joined by Senator Murray and Senator Padilla. So, as everyone knows, negotiations continue on DHS funding, including the Coast Guard, FEMA, CISA, while also securing real reforms to rein in ICE and stop the violence. Over the weekend, progress was getting made. Then Donald Trump threw a temper tantrum. He demanded Republicans tie the SAVE Act, voter suppression, to TSA paychecks. It was outrageous from the start. Democrats knew it, and Republicans knew it too. And because of Donald Trump, negotiations started falling apart. That's not just a delay, that's real harm. That's another day TSA workers go without pay. Let's not forget, Democrats have now tried 8 times to pass clean TSA funding. I'm supposed to have a little. Here we are, in case you missed it.
It's right here.
Oh, well, here we go. They're always ahead of me. They're a great staff, aren't they? Anyway, we have voted 8 times for funding, and Republicans have blocked funding 8 times. 8 times we asked, no poison pills, no politics, no conditions, just paychecks and public safety. 8 times Republicans blocked it. Instead of paying our TSA agents what they deserve, Republicans have chosen 8 times to keep our airports in chaos. And what does Trump do? He sends ICE agents to airports. ICE agents don't run security lines. They don't screen passengers or move travelers. By all accounts, many are just standing around. So Americans are asking a simple question. People at airports say to one another, why is Trump paying ICE agents overtime to stand around instead of paying TSA workers to move the lines? Makes no sense. Maybe the answer is this: security isn't the goal. And this is something rather pernicious. Hope you've seen it. Steve Bannon said the quiet part out loud, calling using ICE agents at the airports a test run for using ICE in the 2026 election. Can you imagine? It's chilling. ICE should leave the airports. TSA workers should be paid. And Republicans should stop playing games. No intimidation, no more chaos, enough. And let me say one more thing on the SAVE Act. This morning we learned Donald Trump, who constantly attacks vote by mail, used vote by mail himself. Typical Trump hypocrisy. Every day there are more examples. So it's fraud when Americans do it, but fine when he does. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense at all? That tells you everything you need to know. It's never been about fraud. It's about rigging the election. And now Republicans are trying to dress it up with the so-called common sense voter ID amendment. Don't be fooled. That proposal is a cover-up. It's more extreme than the laws in every single state, red or blue. It overrides state law. It blocks it blocks IDs that millions rely on, students, veterans. You can't even use your military ID under their proposal. And of course, it's a cover-up. They actually just added it into the bill after the bill was done, because they knew when people saw it was voter suppression, it would be so unpopular and so poorly received. So Democrats support common sense voter ID, but what Thune put in isn't that. What the bill is voter suppression, plain and simple. Senator Murray.
Well, conversations are happening now about a path ahead to fund DHS and rein in ICE, but let's remember where we are. TSA agents are going without pay. Travelers are showing up at our airports to find 3, 4, or even 5-hour security lines, and Trump and Republicans are refusing to just fund TSA. Democrats have tried again and again to pay TSA while negotiations continue on reforms on ICE and Border Patrol. But Republicans have now blocked us 8 times, and it's counting. We have tried to send TSA agents the paychecks they deserve. Trump has responded by sending ICE instead. TSA agents do not need ICE officers hovering over their shoulders and intimidating travelers. They need to get paid. There is no excuse for the chaos Republicans have caused at our airports. Now, some of my Democratic colleagues and I have had productive meetings with the White House as we press for meaningful reforms to ICE. But they would be a lot more productive if the president didn't keep making new and unreasonable demands over social media. It is awfully hard to find common ground with Republicans when it's not clear that they have common ground amongst themselves. Until recently, the Republican position was, we won't let you give $1 to TSA unless you cut a blank check to Stephen Miller. That is absurd. But now we have made some headway toward reforms. Trump told the Republicans maybe he doesn't want these negotiations at all. He won't accept any deal to fund TSA or the rest of the department until Congress passes his voter suppression bill. He is actually holding TSA pay hostage, all to disenfranchise tens of thousands of American citizens over delusions of voter fraud. Republicans now say that he is walking away from that, but the president has yet to clarify his ultimatum. The only way we are going to get out of this mess is if we know that the president is on the same page as the Republicans. Now, Democrats are continuing to push for modest reforms. And just as Democrats have been very clear, we will immediately fund TSA, FEMA, Coast Guard, and CISA while talks continue on ICE and Border Patrol. But we've also made very clear that if we are talking about funding any part of ICE or CBP, we absolutely must take some key steps to rein them in. The current Republican offer in front of us does not do that. We have made some progress, and the White House has already agreed to some steps. Bottom line, reforms must make it into law. So instead of creating chaos, President Trump needs to get serious about finding a solution, and Republicans need to stop blocking TSA pay while dragging their feet on some very basic reforms. We should pay TSA today and finalize a deal to fund the rest of the department and rein in ICE and Border Patrol.
Thank you, Leader Schumer. Thank you, Senator Murray. Look, folks, it's been a couple of weeks now, and the American people are understanding better and better what the SAVE Act truly is. And the more they understand the SAVE Act, the more they do not like it. Supporters of the bill claim that it's a bill that will help secure our elections. But the reality is, it's a bill that will have the effect of making it harder for eligible Americans to register to vote, to stay registered to vote, and to cast their ballot in our elections. Republicans are concerned with making sure that, quote, the right Americans are voting. Not our words, that's theirs. And if you combine that with the pieces of the bill that would force the personal information of every voter in America into the hands of DHS to be run through this SAVE database, a different kind of SAVE, it's already purging American citizens from the voting rolls. And with the latest additions, as you've heard, a ban on vote by mail, and to come to learn that once again Donald Trump has chosen to vote by mail. The hypocrisy is higher than ever. Vote by mail is good enough for Donald Trump, but not for the American people. This has never been about election security. It's been about a desperate attempt to hold on to power, because Republicans don't want to be held accountable for their horrible record during the midterm elections. It's wrong, it's un-American, and we'll continue to fight it tooth and nail until we kill this bill. And on the DHS funding front, I think it's real simple. Pay TSA, reform ICE. And while we're at it, pay the Coast Guard and reform ICE. Pay CISA, reform ICE. Pay FEMA, reform ICE. And while we pay FEMA, by the way, let's make sure that authorized and appropriated disaster relief funds make their way to all impacted areas, not just to red states while you hold blue states hostage. That's a topic for another day and a topic front and center for the new DHS secretary. Thank you.
Go ahead, Senator.
Could you see yourself supporting the Republican proposal to fund DHS without ICE and without the immigration reforms up there?
Look, the bottom line is Democrats, and this is true of just every Democrat in my caucus, has been consistent all along. We have to rein in ICE and stop the violence. We need reform. Yes, nope, yes.
There are Democrats that have signaled funding all of DHS, but stripping out the ICE funding, and that appears that that's the current offer from Republicans right now. I've spoken to Senator Kane and a number of other Democrats that have signaled that that would be enough to open the government. Why not do that today?
Every one of my colleagues, every one, A, believes that we should be unified, and B, we need reforms of ICE. Every single one. Yes.
Can you walk through what reforms to ICE are necessary in order to reopen this
Look,
agency?
we need.
Specifically, has what the White House offered on body cams. Is that enough?
Look, you know what we've called for all along. I'm not going to get into specifics, but we need strong, strong reforms, and we need to rein in ICE. We've been consistent in what we've been asking for from the get-go. Yes, sir.
So are you saying this isn't an appropriate deal that Republicans have?
As I said, we need reforms. We need reforms to ICE. We need to rein in the violence. We have never changed our position.
So no deal.
This does not have any reforms in ICE, but they've sent us, negotiations are ongoing, and they've sent us an offer, and we'll be sending them an offer back. And I can assure you it'll contain significant reform in it.
Secretary Mullen